Every year, over 10 billion croissants are enjoyed around the globe, a demand that calls for major production power. But how are these delicious pastries actually made from puff pastry dough? To find out, we visited one of the largest croissant factories in the world to see how this iconic treat comes to life. Located in southeastern France, this impressive facility is a hub of non-stop production, where a dedicated team of 316 workers craft a staggering 18,000 croissants per hour. By the end of a full day, the factory will have baked an incredible 336,000 croissants. Spanning over 22,000 square meters, this state-of-the-art plant produces not only croissants, but also 7 other types of pastries, reaching an annual output of more than 500 million units. One of the factory's best-selling items is a pack of 6 croissants, and making them starts with none other than rich, creamy butter. This butter production begins long before it reaches the pastry line, with tanker trucks delivering around 30,000 liters of fresh cow's milk to the dairy plant each day. As soon as the milk arrives, it undergoes thorough lab tests. Quality control specialists check that the milk's color and aroma are consistent before unloading it through vacuum-pumped hoses. From here, the milk is pumped into a high-speed separator, a machine that's all about centrifugal force. Inside the separator, the milk spins rapidly, allowing the milk fat to separate from the rest of the liquid. This process divides the mixture into 2 parts, the creamy, rich milk fat and the remaining skimmed milk. The cream, which is essentially the milk's pure fat, is what will be transformed into the butter that gives croissants their signature rich, flaky texture. The main component for making butter is cream, which is a rich, thick substance that's about 38% fat. Some of this cream is used to produce milk with lower fat content, as the cream's fat level directly impacts the milk's thickness and texture. When the cream is processed, the centrifuge spins at 1,500 revolutions per minute, causing the fattier, less dense cream to gather at the center, while the skimmed milk moves outward. Each flows out through separate pipes, with the fresh cream then loaded into tankers bound for the butter factory. Every day, tankers deliver 25,000 to 30,000 liters of this cream to the butter production facility. To ensure quality, the cream undergoes pasteurization, a heating process that kills unwanted bacteria by heating the cream to 92 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds. Afterward, the cream is poured into a bulk tank with built-in mixers to keep it uniform. This step is crucial because butter consistency must stay the same throughout the year, regardless of seasonal changes in milk quality. One of the challenges in butter production is that cream composition changes with the seasons depending on what the cows eat. In winter, cows typically have limited access to fresh grass and graze on preserved forages like hay, which can lead to a higher proportion of saturated fats in the milk, resulting in firmer butter. In summer, when cows graze on lush green pastures, the milk becomes richer in unsaturated fats, producing a softer butter. To maintain a consistent texture all year, the cream undergoes a 2-phase process known as maturation. First, it's heated in large tanks to around 15 to 20 degrees Celsius and then pumped into massive 150-ton silos, where it's gradually cooled to 9 degrees Celsius. This cooling process stabilizes the fat crystals, ensuring uniform texture regardless of seasonal changes. After maturing overnight, an operator checks the pH and taste of the cream. If it's too acidic, that's a sign the cream may be spoiling, which means the whole batch gets discarded to maintain quality. But the cream is still in liquid form, not yet spreadable. This is where churning comes in. After pasteurization and a 24-hour maturation, the cream is ready for the next step. Workers prepare the churning machine by cleaning it with a water and iodine solution to sanitize from the previous batch. The churn is then rinsed with water before the process begins. They pour about 1,500 liters of cream into the churn, filling it halfway to allow room for the air released during churning to escape through vents. Spinning at an impressive 1,000 rotations per minute, the churn can process about a ton of butter in each batch, transforming the liquid cream into the rich, spreadable butter that's essential for flaky croissants. In the cream, tiny fat droplets are held together by delicate membranes. During churning, these membranes break, causing the fat to clump together into creamy pieces known as butter popcorn. Every few minutes, an operator stops the churn and adjusts the air release valve at the top. When there's no more air left to escape, the valve is closed and the machine resumes spinning. After around 30 minutes of churning, the fat molecules in the cream have fully transformed into these creamy clumps. Meanwhile, the leftover liquid, known as buttermilk, drains out from the bottom of the churn. This buttermilk doesn't go to waste. It's collected and used to make products like cream cheese, with around 12 tons of buttermilk produced every hour. With the churned clumps now separated, they're ready for the finishing touches. The operator adds 2 key ingredients: 30 pounds of salt to enhance flavor and a lactic culture, a beneficial bacteria. This lactic culture ferments the lactose in the butter, creating lactic acid and natural aromas that give butter its slightly tangy taste and classic buttery smell. However, the churning process has introduced air bubbles into the mixture, which can lead to oxidation and a metallic taste. To tackle this, the operator seals the churn by clamping the window with a rubber ring and metal clamp. This balances the internal pressure with the pressure outside, allowing the churn to function efficiently. The butter is then kneaded to thoroughly mix in the salt and culture, and it's sent to a vacuum chamber to remove any remaining air. The result is a dense, ultra-rich butter. Finally, about 65 pounds of butter are loaded into a mixer. From here, the butter moves into the final production stage, where it's shaped, portioned, and packaged, ready to become a key ingredient in delicious flaky croissants. Once the butter blocks are prepared, they're transported to the receiving area at the croissant factory. This batch, totaling around 21 tons, is enough to make a staggering 4 million croissants. Each pallet holds 80 blocks of concentrated butter, each weighing 23 pounds and containing a remarkable 99.8% fat, nearly 20% more than standard butter. This special butter not only boosts flavor, but also extends the croissant's shelf life up to 29 days. Upon arrival, the butter undergoes thorough checks to confirm it's at the perfect temperature, after which it's stored in one of 18 large refrigerators set to a consistent 15 degrees Celsius. Meanwhile, the dough ingredients are prepared with high-quality wheat flour, chosen specifically for its high gluten content, essential for creating an elastic, workable dough. Purified water hydrates the flour to form a smooth dough base, while yeast activates fermentation, helping the dough rise. Sugar, beyond adding sweetness, fuels the yeast for optimal fermentation, and salt is added to balance the flavor and regulate yeast activity. All these ingredients are loaded into a massive industrial mixer. During a 10-minute process, they're mixed at low speed initially to combine the ingredients, forming a soft dough. The speed then ramps up for kneading, which strengthens the dough. Once ready, the dough moves through a machine equipped with multiple rollers. An automated flour dispenser lightly dusts the dough to prevent it from sticking. 16 rollers progressively flatten the dough into a thinner sheet, preparing it for the next step. The dough is then set aside in a warm, controlled environment to rest, allowing the yeast to work and expand the dough. After this resting period, the dough is carefully deflated to release any trapped gas, making it ready for the lamination stage, where it will transform into the delicate layers of a croissant. The next phase is all about crafting the iconic flaky layers of a croissant. At the start of the production line, thick blocks of butter are pressed into sheets about half a centimeter thick. Each butter sheet is then placed at the center of a large dough sheet, and the edges of the dough are folded over to entirely cover the butter. This step, called encapsulation, is key to creating the croissant's delicate layers. The butter must be spread evenly throughout to ensure consistent layering during baking. With the butter securely encapsulated, the dough undergoes a process called lamination, where it's folded and rolled out repeatedly. This creates hundreds of ultra-thin alternating layers of dough and butter. After several rounds of folding, each sheet has 243 distinct layers. The dough then goes through a cooling period, which hardens the butter again and firms up the dough, setting the layers before the final shaping. Once the dough is chilled and ready, it's sent back to the laminator for one last rollout, achieving a uniform thickness of about 3 to 5 millimeters. This precise thickness is crucial to give the croissant a light and airy texture in the oven. The dough is shaped into a large, flat rectangle, which is then cut into equal sections for consistency. A horizontal roller gently expands the dough, preparing it for cutting. Special cutters divide the sheet into 7 strips, each about 10 centimeters wide. Then, a second roller with triangular blades cuts each strip into isosceles triangles, each triangle having a 10-centimeter base and a 20-centimeter height. This triangle shape is essential for creating the croissant's signature crescent shape. An automated system then aligns the triangles, rotating each one to ensure the flat base faces forward. The triangles are carefully rolled from the base up to the tip, keeping the dough taut but unbroken. With this precision, the dough tightly coils, capturing the layers within each croissant. Each of the two machines in this production line can roll and shape up to 50,000 croissants per hour, enabling the factory to maintain an astonishing pace while preserving quality. The croissants are now perfectly shaped and ready for their final stages, ensuring they emerge from the oven with that irresistible golden brown finish. After shaping, the croissants move to a fermentation chamber, a high-humidity, steam-filled room kept at a stable 30 degrees Celsius and 80% humidity. This environment allows the yeast to activate, producing carbon dioxide, which causes the dough to expand. As the croissants heat up, moisture from the butter and dough transforms into steam, separating the dough layers. The result is a croissant with light, airy layers and an ultra-flaky texture. While the croissants are fermenting, a glaze mixture is prepared, typically a blend of milk protein and water. This glaze helps give the croissants their final golden sheen. Before entering the oven, each croissant is lightly sprayed with the glaze to ensure an even and attractive finish. The croissants are then baked for 15 minutes at 200 degrees Celsius in a massive conveyor oven. During baking, the Maillard reaction occurs, where the proteins in the glaze react with the sugars in the dough. This reaction is what gives croissants their golden brown color, crispy crust, and rich buttery flavor. A final inspection confirms each pastry has the correct color, shine, and structure. A crispy crust with a soft, fluffy interior. Once baked, the croissants are cooled gradually for about an hour on a spiral cooling tower, ensuring they are perfectly set and ready for packaging. Each batch of 6,000 croissants is then transported to the packaging area. Here, a quality control inspector removes any defective pastries, ensuring consistency in every package. The croissants are then wrapped in cellophane and heat-sealed. With an impressive production rate, the factory packages up to 18,000 croissants per hour, totaling over 2 million freshly baked croissants shipped globally every week. This industrial process maintains the artisanal essence of croissants, ensuring they reach consumers with the perfect balance of flaky crust and buttery interior. If you want to know how Doritos are made, watch the video on your screen, and please like the video if you enjoyed it and share it with someone who might be interested. Also, subscribe to this channel by activating the notifications to continue learning. Thanks for watching.